Breaking. As promised, I was going to come back to you when we had more information on the shooting at the Raptors' victory celebration in Toronto. And now we have information that 3 men have been arrested after shootings at the Raptors celebration. They've been ID'd by police. Now, I know I'm going to have some redneck out there, some piece of white trash out there who's going to say, oh, he's going to try and pretend like this is proof that, only the white man is civilized and look at black folk or Muslims and this, that's, he's going to try and pretend like white folk are so void of any violence, even though you go to places like Hamilton, Ontario, or Glasgow, Scotland, and it's just pure white folk acting the fool out there. It's not a white issue or a black issue. It's a violence issue which is happening, plaguing our societies, which is plaguing every race, color, and creed. And in fact, one of the people who is actually on the run is a white male, 5'9", with short, light brown hair with a heavy build. But that's, the 3 men who have been ID'd: Shaquille Anthony Miller, Diano Toussaint, and Abdikarim Karo. These are the individuals who have been ID'd by police. But as I said before, this isn't a race issue because violence is plaguing all races, all genders, all creeds, all sexual orientations. It goes back all the way to the Middle Ages. I mean, even during the time of the Queen Victorian era, when East London, you had people like Jack the Ripper and all those kind of individuals. So that's not the issue. The issue is we have politicians who are constantly begging to take away our rights to bear arms to protect ourselves, law-abiding citizens who can do something about this. They're taking away their right to do that, and the only people who are now able to attack us are the violent ones. People of every race, every gender, every sexual orientation who are coming after us, wanting to kill us, and we can't defend ourselves. That is the issue here. That's the issue that I want to talk about. So the people have been ID'd, and of course, the politicians out there, the John Tories, and all those kind of people are now advocating, gun control. This is proof. We need gun control. We need it. We need it. Let's get it. You even had Bill Blair, the former Toronto police chief, that butcher, Bill Blair, wanting more gun control. That's what he's calling for in Toronto. So this butcher over here, I call him the butcher of Toronto. He's a butcher. He needs to rot in jail, Bill Blair. He butchered people who were protesting the globalists at the G20 in Toronto many years back, butchered them with his police force, with his Gestapo, tore up people, and he's saying that we need more gun control. So yeah, the police get to have guns, and the police get to have all the weapons they want to butcher people who are protesting the globalists, who are congregating in our city of Toronto, and they get butchered up. Bill Blair gets to have all the guns, but we can't defend ourselves. Bill Blair, you should rot in jail for what you did to the people of Toronto who were protesting the globalists at G20. But anyway, look at this. A deadly year of gun violence in Toronto. December 21st, 2018. This has been an especially deadly year in Toronto, with the city notching 95 homicides so far amid a spate of brazen shootings and calls for handgun ban. But what you guys have to understand is that Toronto and Canada in particular already have some of the toughest gun laws. Look at this. Look at this. Many handguns, and Americans, this is going to shock you. Many handguns are classified as restricted under the Federal Firearms Act, which means legal gun owners need a license, so they need to have a background check, they need to pay for the license, they need to be trained. That's how you get a license, to possess or obtain one, and to buy ammunition for it. And you go through a thorough background check. And owners also need a registration which certifies from the certificates from the federal government and special permits from the province province's chief firearms officer, to transport their weapons, according to the RCMP. So you need not just a weapon, a license to have a gun. You also need a certificate to carry the gun, which is more background checks and more money you have to pay for and all that stuff. However, some handguns are classified as prohibited, which means they can only be possessed if they were legally obtained prior to being placed on the prohibited list. This is also known as grandfathering. Prohibited handguns include those with barrels shorter than 105 millimeters and handguns with magazines that hold more than 10 bullets. There were 839,295 restricted firearms registered to individuals or businesses in Canada, according to the RCMP. It is very, very, very tough to get a license in Canada. You can read it right here. You can only get a handgun license for 3 reasons: if you are a collector, a target shooter, or need one for a job. So Canada and Toronto have extremely tough gun laws, but look at that. A deadly year of gun violence in Toronto. So the gun laws don't work. So what are they going to do now? The only other thing I could see them doing is completely banning guns altogether. Handguns. They're already partially half banned. I mean, they're all restricted. Many of them are prohibited. So they're just going to ban all of them now. And it's still going to get worse. Look at that. And it's not just here in Canada. Look at this. Chicago. Deadliest city behind Chicago's segregated shooting sprees. While its homicide rate is not the highest in the U.S., actually it probably is now, Chicago has consistently had more total killings than any other U.S. city, with 27 people killed since the beginning of the month. And look at that. Look at it. And Chicago has some tough gun laws. Not as tough as Toronto, but still pretty tough. I mean, there's actually something that I want to show you guys. You know, they said that Chicago doesn't have the highest, or whatever they want to call it. But there's a chart. Where is it? Why can I not see? Why can I not? Here it is. Here's the chart right here. Look at Chicago. Largest homicide rates. It is the largest. Look at it. Look at it right there. Chicago. And they have some tough gun laws in Chicago. I mean, look at San Antonio and Phoenix and Houston, where there's a lot of guns. That's Texas. That's Arizona. And theirs is lower than Chicago. At least in Houston, you can have a gun to protect yourself. And it's easy to get. I mean, yeah, law-abiding citizens have to get it. But look at this. Look at this. Get this, guys. You do realize that people who are criminals are not going to follow the gun laws, right? You can get all the measures you want for people to get a gun. I do agree that people need to have a license to have a gun. I do agree with that. Because then it would, make it harder for the criminals to get the gun. But, background checks and... Not background checks. All this other stuff, registering the gun and this and that and yada yada. The criminal is not going to do that. He's not going to obey those concealed carry regulations. He's not going to do it. Look what happened in Toronto. He's not going to do it. And it's usually he, not really she. That's why I'm saying he. And get this, guys. Get this. Even if you manage to get rid of all the guns in Toronto, guess what you're going to have? You're going to have this. Look at this. This is London, England. There's more knife crime, more drugs. East London frustrated at latest stabbing. Death of a man early on Monday followed 3 murders in city in 24 hours. London is the stab city, according to Katie Hopkins. And there's almost no guns there. At least the police don't have guns. Listen, taking away guns is one thing, But if you take away guns and the police are allowed to have guns, that's when I really get angry. You'll start seeing me riot, because if the cops have guns and we don't have guns, that means we are in for a totalitarian. That's easier for them to take us over and to bash us into submission, just like Bill Blair did to the people of Toronto when they were just protesting G20. And I think those people who were rioting in Toronto were people who were sent in by the cops to do it. I have great respect for police, but don't make any mistake. There are bad people in our in the top pyramid, like Bill Blair, who will use hardworking police officers to try and take away our freedoms. But look at here in London. Residents in Stratford, East London have voiced their fears and frustration over rising violence in the area after the fatal stabbing of a man in his 40s in early hours Monday. And you see that there? Look at that. Look at that. Knife crime is out of control in London. People's children have to go to schools with knife vests on so that they don't get hurt as badly. And Sadiq Khan is the one who said that terrorism is part and parcel of our society. I thought that banning all the guns was going to stop all that violence, Sadiq. I thought it was going to stop it, Tony Blair. I thought it was going to stop it, Gordon Brown. I thought it was going to stop it, Piers Morgan, who I've actually come to respect these days because he's telling off the Duchess of Thoughts. But when he was on CNN, he was bashing guns and all that sort of stuff and calling gun advocates idiots and all that stuff. I thought it was going to stop it. It's not going to do it. It's only going to make people go to knives. And now they're even talking about banning knives now. I mean, this is ridiculous. And actually, I'd rather be shot than stabbed, to be honest with you. I know stabbing, you have a greater chance at surviving, but I don't want to live my life as Swiss cheese. I'm sorry, I just don't want to do it. If you're going to kill me, just shoot me in the head. Don't stab me up all on my neck, my stomach, on my genitalia, and my eyes and all that stuff. That's just painful. That's barbaric. That's Islamic type of thing. So this is what's going to happen. So here's my plan to stop all of this stuff. First of all, you ask communities, do you guys want stop and search? If they say yes, bring in the police. If they say no, then you guys know which neighborhoods to avoid. You know, you also have to get tough on the causes of crime. Give people their money back. I've always said the royalties and the dividends and the profits from crown corporations, that's our money, not government money. Redistribute it in the form of basic income. Also, don't arrest drug people who are addicted to drugs. They need drug courts. They need drug counseling. They don't have to. People who are sick shouldn't go to jail, and that they get taught how to be real criminals. So when you go to jail, you have to join a gang to survive. All of that stuff. If you go to jail for assault, you have to go to anger management, forced anger management, to get that out of your system. So that's my way of stopping crime. This is the Arana Nation.